wish that Franklin D. Roosevelt had lived to see this day.
Hello, this is Strider, Regional Director for the Guardian Angels here in Baltimore. It's been a while since we've done any Beyond the Street shows, but with everything that's going on in Baltimore, in my life, I figured, you know what, this is a good time for us to get back on the stick, so I'd like to start doing a little bit more of these shows to talk about what's going on here in Baltimore. And I'm going to try to do some live, and because I'm away all the time, I'm going to try to do some remotely. But what I would like is to get your feedback on some of the stuff that you'd like to hear and what you want to talk about. So, being this is my first show back in a while, okay, I want to talk about first is my Facebook page and my post, okay? As you know, I'm away, but I try to follow what I can on Facebook, and lately I've been catching a lot of grief, okay? One of the things that I got to tell you is if you don't like my posts, stay off my page. Again, if you don't like what I post, stay off my page. Now, let me explain a little bit of what's going on with this, okay? Granted, I comment on everything. I say good morning. I say good night sometimes, okay? But mostly I comment about some of the things that irritate me in Baltimore, or some of the things that I think everybody's talking about. I have my opinions too. Sometimes you agree with me, sometimes you don't, and I get that. I have friends who disagree with a lot of stuff that I say. That's cool. I'm okay with that. But all I'm asking you is to be respectful. Respect my point of view as I do yours. I have a lot of people who say stuff to me like, hey, you know, Strider, water's wet, sand's dry. Okay, I get that. I'm not going to argue over that because that's right. I get it, you know, but there's all other stuff that goes on, and we're going to talk about some of this stuff that goes on that really drives me crazy. But just so you know, for the sake of the people tons of people has called me and say, hey, what is that all about? I've had a couple people contact me to tell me that they either didn't like who was on my page, or they didn't like the content of my page. Did you hear what I said? My page. Not your page, not their page, not his, my page, okay? So if you don't like what's on my page, stay the hell off of it, okay? Because I'm going to post things that I like or things I want to talk about. And the cool thing is this is why I got the show too, because now I can really bend your ear and really piss a lot of people off. Not my intention, but respect my opinion as well, okay? One of the things, case in point, city in crisis, okay? This is the one that kind of threw everybody over the edge. And I don't understand why. I was not there. I was watching the city in crisis that the news channel had on about the state of the city in Baltimore. I was in a hotel in New York. I was eating, I think, barbecue chips and drinking a Coca-Cola and a Reese cup. I was good with that. But what happened was everybody went crazy over that city in crisis thing because you know what? Crime is bad in Baltimore. And one of the things I liked about the show was that it had so many people that came in there to talk about the issues, city in crisis. Now, granted, there were a couple people who didn't show up because they said this was going to be a candidates debate. So we're not coming in, and you had somebody else who come up and said, well, I just didn't want to go. Get it. I get that. But I'm not a smart person, but when you see something that says city in crisis, that's pretty self-explanatory, right? It pretty much means something else is going on out here, okay? So that talks about the crime. That talks about all the, well, let's say the politics, the police department. It could be anything, but it's something that upsets the balance of the city, right? So that's what we got. So needless to say, that's where a lot of these, the negative postings and texts and phone calls and Facebook messages all came in, where people were basically losing their mind. They were all pissed off at me because obviously they could have just stayed the hell off my page. But anyway, that's what you want to do. I want to thank each and every person who had come on my page again and contacted me in support of my friend Michael O'Hara, who was a former guardian angel who was attacked at Chop Tank, the restaurant downtown. You know, that's the fancy one with the dress code. It depends on, it doesn't depend on what you're wearing, it's who's wearing it. And that's my opinion, just my opinion. I know I'll get 10,000 text messages about that. What is that supposed to mean, Strider? You know exactly what it means. But anyway, my issue with Chop Tank, okay, is that a friend of mine went there with his wife to have dinner, and he came outside of the Chop Tank restaurant. No big deal here. I don't have anything wrong with that. And during that time, he witnessed an assault. And what he do? He does what guardian angels were trained to do. He interfered. He tried to stop it, and basically saying, "Hey, let's break this up." He didn't go in for a fight, but he literally walked into a fight. And when he did that, okay, he was jumped by 4 guys and knocked unconscious and bleeding all over the place. Still, I get that, because you know what? He walked up, he tried to help out, that was his thing, okay? But what happened after that is what really upsets me. The wife went to the restaurant that they just walked out of and said, "Hey, I need some ice," basically for her unconscious husband who's laying there on the sidewalk bleeding. And the security guards, okay, told them, you know, you have to move him, get him off the property, and don't bleed on the cars. And this is not something I'm making up. This is an actual statement. And anybody who's been following the news has read that actual statement. And literally, there was my friend who's laying here who got his ass handed to him in front of a restaurant and security guards. And I don't know if these guys are ex or former law enforcement or not, but that's where my problem starts. Okay, I get it. If you're just John Q. Public, nobody wants to interfere. Don't interfere. But if you're security and you're a restaurant establishment, you need to protect your patrons. If you're an off-duty cop making secondary money, you need to step in. If you can't do that, then you need to go find your ass another job. You need to be waiting on the tables instead of doing security. Okay? So I went down to the hospital. Needless to say, you know, it was hard for me to see my friend who was in the hospital beat up by 4 strangers while he was helping somebody else. It was even harder for me to accept the fact that nobody stepped in to help him, basically, you know, and told him to get off the property and don't bleed on the cars. Yeah, I got issues with this. You know, and look, we have the security guard, you know, and, you know, these guys, I mean, he's a tiny little guy. You know, no wonder he didn't step in. I mean, this gets me. And if you watch the video, you'll see this guy just literally just standing there watching the assault. You know, he's the do-nothing security. So I don't know if he's still down there or not, but if this guy comes to you looking for some kind of a job or something where he's got to protect you, I'd pretty much go the other way, because I don't see it happening, you know. But anyway, one of the things that came out of there, coincidentally, was a friend of mine, Donald Rubottom, who was a deputy sheriff in law enforcement, who was there right after the incident happened. And he literally had to flash his badge to get ice from the restaurant and get aid from Michael, and to tell Michael's wife, "You're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. You know, I'm here with you." And like I said, we've run into each other. We've done a lot of stuff within the community. So, and when I was at the hospital, it didn't occur to me that this was who he was. So, and I cannot thank him enough, because he surely stepped up. He surely stepped up. And this is what we get. You know, that's the kind of stuff that kind of like just drives me crazy, because realistically, the communities are going nuts, okay? We have crime going off the hook. This weekend alone, I think we had 17 shootings, okay? 15 in one day. 15 shootings in one day, you know, and we have this all across the country. You can say to yourself, well, you know, crime's getting bad. It's not a Baltimore thing. Well, maybe. Crime is getting bad all over the place. It's not a Baltimore thing. But in a city of 600,000 people, when are we going to do something? Now is the time to put up and shut up. We can't sit around and complain about the fact that crime is bad and everybody's getting, it's dangerous. It's a dangerous place. So what are we going to do? And I think the community is a big part of fixing the problem when it comes to crime and violence. And I say that because it's us in the community that pretty much knows the guy that are down the street robbing everybody or causing all this hell and havoc. You know, it's our brother, our sister, our landlord, our significant other, our somebody. There's not anybody out there who doesn't know a hellraiser that they didn't wish was off their neighborhood and off their block. But these guys are running rampant. They're doing stuff, and nobody's turned them in. Nobody's saying anything. We're just letting them go. And if you think about it, you know, we're up to over, almost 250 homicides in Baltimore City alone. So you literally have almost 250 assassins or killers out on the street. And these guys aren't just shooting and not saying anything. We're not going to tell anybody. We're not going to say anything. You know, they're telling somebody. Somebody knows who these guys are. It's just like the assault on Michael O'Hara and his wife. Yeah, these guys are going out there, oh, wow, man, you seen us on the news. That was us. That was us. And everybody say, oh, that was you, man. Oh, man, they're going to get you. No. We don't talk. We don't say anything here in Baltimore. And then the next guy comes up and they get attacked, and then they get jumped, and it's okay. It's not okay. It's crazy, you know. But then, you know, I read somewhere that, you know, what are the politicians going to do? Everybody talks about martial law, bringing in the National Guard, bringing in the curfews, bringing in this. Everybody's got an idea, but we're not doing anything because this is just a whirlwind of ideas. We need to figure out, okay, well, wait a minute. We're going to reach over 300 homicides by the end of December. And then after that, everybody's going to sit around at 12:01 and say, this sucks. We've had 300 homicides and talk about how bad it is. But we're going to start this new year off. We're not going to kill anybody. You know, we're starting at number one. You can start at all the number ones you want. How many, you know, each year? It doesn't matter because you're still backed up because you haven't caught the killers from the last year or the year before that or the year before that. Everybody is still dead. So you can start the clock. It doesn't make a difference. Without that clock, how many homicides would you have? So now it's time to do something. You have to come up with a plan, and not just the police department, not just the city hall, and not just the governor's office, the community. You gotta vote these guys out. The election time is coming, and everybody's saying, well, it's the Democrats. And the Democrats are saying, well, it's the Republicans. And somebody's saying it's the conservative. Nope, it's the liberals. Nope, it's the left. Nope, it's the right. You can call it whoever you want. Those are just labels that we give people. Okay, we're all individual, we're all people, we all have our own stuff, and when we go out there at the end of the day, we're the ones that's catching the bullet, we're the ones that's dying, and we're the ones that's getting our ass kicked in the street. Liberal, politician, whatever, you can say whatever you want, put whatever tag on it you want. Gone is gone. So now it's time for the community to go up to all these politicians who are running for election next year and basically focusing on maybe just that and get them out of office. We need new people to come in with new ideas, and not somebody's going to say, well, you know, we think going to work. No, don't tell me we're going to think. What are we going to do? What are we going to try? It don't have to work right away, but you got to try something. Figure it out. We've got to do something to get involved, and we got to stop. We got to stop the blaming and all this other crap, you know. I can't stand the politics of it all. I hate the labels of the politics and all. I hate this Republican and Democrat and all that. That stuff drives me crazy. Forget the parties. Hold the individual responsible for what it is they do or fail to do. Forget the title. You can go all down City Hall all you want and say, okay, the Republicans, the Democrats, or whatever. If you are the mayor, you're the city council president, you're a councilman, you're whatever it is you are, blame that individual of what's going on and hold them accountable for what's not getting done. You do it with the police department all the time. Well, we don't have enough cops, or these guys are this, or these guys are that. We can talk about that all day long. But the thing about it is we have to figure out something, and we have to make something work. Something's got to be done. Something's got to be done, period. And I got to tell you, when it comes to crime, okay, and when I'm sitting in New York and I'm reading my stories, I came across this crazy story, you know, where a guy robbed a convenience store and pulled out a gun, armed robbery, okay, gimme. You know, he goes in there and he goes to rob the place and hold it up, and needless to say, the person at the counter, the employee there, pulled out his own gun, shot and killed this guy, and the family tried to justify it. You can't make this stuff up, guys. You cannot make this stuff up. Instead of saying, well, why did he go in here and rob this store? You know, I feel so bad. Somebody could have been hurt. He was killed. Oh, my God, this is horrible, blah, blah, blah. What do they say? What are they doing with a gun at work? Who brings a gun to work? Who brings a gun to work? Obviously, her brother, because his job is robbing convenience stores. So obviously he had his gun at work. But then again, you got to ask yourself, well, if you've got your gun at work, I guess that falls in bank robber etiquette or convenience store, because you got to have, I mean, you know, police have badges, firemen have hoses and axes, and guardian angels have red berets, and criminals got guns and knives and bats and dangerous shit. So anyway, but if you get a chance, go on there and look at the story, because you can't make it up. And then, you know what makes this story so ironic and so simple and almost pathetically funny is the fact that how many people are dying on our streets every day by violence, how much domestic violence is out there, all the rape and carnage and all this. And again, you can bet your butt that somewhere in the corner of the planet, somebody's trying to justify it or make it seem like it's okay. It's not, I mean, whatever happened to, hey, Mary, your little boy started some stuff down on the corner, and I grabbed him up and dragged him in the house and gave him some whatnot. You know, nobody does it anymore. You know, we just turn. I don't want to see that. Not me. We all turn away. We don't look anymore. You know, but at the same time, you know, you can punch up on the internet how many stories are out there where people are basically making excuses for the criminal behaviors on the street. It's sad. And I say that because I spend a lot of my time sitting there talking to families of victims who've been brutalized by violence or whatever, or missing altogether. And I travel around the country with the guardian angels, and it's sad to hear these stories. And they come out every single day. But I do find a little bit of humor in the fact that somebody out there is going to try to justify criminal behavior with dumb stuff. You know, I'm surprised nobody's marching. You know, well, wait a minute. Why is that convenience store guy? Well, basically, he was supposed to be there just to sell cigarettes and sodas. He wasn't supposed to have a weapon because that's what the robber guy brings out. That's their work tool. So it's just sad. It's just sad. But with that, I want you to know I'm going to try to do one of these shows once a week. I'm going to try to talk about some of the stuff that I post, probably on my Facebook page and in the news, because you know what? When I'm sitting at work in New York and I'm in my hotel, this is what I think about. And I say to myself, wow, we got to talk about that. And I really do like getting the messages and the texts and the Facebook posts from you guys, because really, there is a lot of information out there. And I sit there and I listen to all the opinions of each individual out there. Whether I agree or not, I listen to all your opinions just like I expect you to listen, because otherwise I will just get off your page. But I like it. So keep them coming. And we're going to come back to you with another episode of Beyond the Streets, and we're going to start bringing maybe some guest people in here, and we get to get everybody all riled up. But before we close, I do want to talk about a friend of mine that I work with at PPM, Phil Hoffer, who is such a great loving soul that I met there, and he just passed away with cancer last week. And I want to dedicate this first comeback show to Phil, who is, you know, his memory to me, he's one of the greatest guys, and it's you know, I don't do well in these situations, but I've never seen a guy without a smile on his face, you know, or a song. He was just a happy guy, and we will miss you so much. So I'm going to dedicate this episode of Beyond the Streets to my friend and my PPM family, Phil Hoffer, in your memory. So God bless, be safe, stay out of trouble. You see something, dial 911 before you take a picture of it. Be careful. This is Strider, and I'm out.
I wish that Franklin D. Roosevelt had lived to see this day.